Bucky again with Top Dollar Home Offer. We were getting into the deep thoughts of what the spiritual and mental aspect of was breaking debt, right? So I wanted to continue this video here about breaking debt. And we're talking about the spiritual and mental, right? Up here and then what's in here, right? So it's so hard to break debt unless you focus on this first. We talked a lot about the spiritual side and the reasons why we should have a relationship with God and what that means. We kind of stopped at the point where we were talking about what does it mean and how does it affect our discipline, our relationship with those people that we spend the most time with, and especially if that's with God, right? He's going to direct us where we should put our money and use that as a resource, that a blessing that was given by Him to you, and to 100x that, right? If you're putting it in the right spots. You know, it's all about, like, if you get in the Bible and read about the Bible, it's about reaping and sowing. You plant and then you reap. You get ready for the harvest, right? So it takes work. It's not instant overnight, making these changes and the discipline to have it. So that's why discipline is such a key factor, right? You want to have discipline in that relationship, discipline the way you put the money in the right spots. Again, a big thing Dave Ramsey always says is money is currency and never stops flowing. Unless you tell it where to go, then it will never go where you want it to go. It'll just disappear. So I am not an artist, as you guys can see. Again, my company is Top Dollar Home Offer. We buy houses. We work with individuals when they say, hey, I need to sell my house fast, or how do I sell my home fast? They call our company, or we just have people that are landlords that are tired of owning their property and they just want to move it fast, right? Or you're an individual that has no equity in your property, that's fine. We're here to help. This series that we want to stay focused on is breaking debt and how that affects, and why does that affect people in real estate, and why is a real estate guy talking about debt? Well, it's essential that we help those that we buy the houses from, or if there's people out there, we don't want them to get into a place where they have to lose their dream home that they bought, right? You can curb your focus and change your focus from one side or the other, right? How do you do that? So we talked about having a relationship with God and getting your mental discipline right in order to understand where you should be placing your money and how that should be focused. But in order to do any of that first, you have to know exactly where you're at, right? I love this. Think about this. And we briefly spoke about it at the end of the last video. Where your money flows, or you could say goes, whatever you want to, tells where your heart is, right? That's deep. We're going to get into the technical side of things in our next series. Part of that is understanding 3 months or even a year, so 3 to 12 months of spending habits, right? You have to know where you are before you can go where you want to go, okay? 3 to 12 months of spending habits will tell you exactly where your heart is, right? Why do you think lenders and underwriters request 3 months bank statements? One, they want to know if somebody loans you money that you're trying to come up with for a down payment, right? Two, they really want to know how you handle your money, right? Are you going to be a fiscal responsible person enough to repay a large debt, right? So an underwriter looks underwriter is who approves loans, right? For homes. So basically what an underwriter does is you meet with the loan officer, say, hey, I want to buy this house. They say, we need all this stuff. You turn in an application. This underwriter reviews the application along with bank statements, all these things, to really just paint a picture of who you are as a person and how responsible you are in order to pay back debt, right? Your credit score affects that. That's just a technical, reporting of your credit. This shows the discipline that you have with your money, right? You can have a great credit score, but be very poor in your spending habits and very poor in the way you spend money. And sometimes lenders will be on the edge about that, right? Underwriters, that is. How does this affect you as an individual? Well, first off, we want to know where your heart is. So when we work with people that are in debt and they're wanting to break this debt cycle, we have to first understand where their heart is, right? Are you driving a truck you can't afford, or a car you can't afford because it was $6.99 a month, or I can lease it for $3.29, right? Well, what happens at the end of the lease when you drove too many miles and you have to buy a car that's $10,000 upside down? Can you afford it? Or is it worth $6.99 a month to have a truck that nobody knows who the individual is driving it? Or maybe you said, hey, I want a boat. My buddy's got a boat. I need a boat, right? Don't get me wrong, I had boats. I financed boats. I was dumb, right? I was dumb. It's okay to say that. It's okay to make mistakes, right? The best way to fast track yourself is learn from other people's mistakes. Or maybe you say, hey, I want a $2,000 Gucci purse, or a $900 Gucci belt, right? If you look at your bank statement, it's going to tell you where you're spending your money. Is all your money going to things like this? Right? The things we do here on earth, or the possessions we have here on earth, stay here, right? And they probably are fought over by our families, unfortunately, unless you get right over here. This will tell you where your heart is and where you're placing your money, or the majority of your money. Okay? We're going to get real technical, not too technical, but we're going to get technical so you can understand that pattern. The only way you can change this pattern is to know exactly where you're at. What side are you on? Are you more over here? And you can do some fine tuning to become a better steward. Right? Steward means controller, how I'm going to place my money, how I'm going to focus it. Or are you more on this scale where you have a whole bunch of this and a bunch of things sitting around that's collecting dust? You just buying it to impress people you don't know? The best way to impress people is your heart. When you have a heart full of love, and that happens with a relationship with God, the right kind of people will be attracted to you. The wrong kind of people will just kind of slowly drift away. It's interesting how your peer group will change when you put your heart all in with God, right? And it's not that you don't want to go do bad stuff. It's just you're seeking out the good stuff in this world, right? There's nothing bad about a boat, right? The way you buy a boat is through an investment, right? If you have cash flow off rental properties, say you have $300 a month coming in, you want to buy a boat through that transaction, and this cash flow is paying for the boat, then do that. But if you go out and buy a boat and don't have any investments that'll feed you, this thing just depreciates and disintegrates. This is something that you can hand down as a legacy, right? To your family. Generational. The things we're doing today, our spending habits today, if you have any young children, affect the way they're going to act. Most kids follow exactly in their parents' spending habits. From the age of 4 to 6 to 8, these are the years where they retain our spending habits. So be aware of what you're telling our children today, or what you're telling your children today about how you value money and where your heart is. So over here on this side, with your heart filled full of love, obviously the first thing you want to do is give your tithe, right? 10%. And yes, we should always give our best 10% to God. That means 10% of money, at least 10% of our time, or our first part of the day, right? So you can give time, you can give money, always give money, always give your time. That's how you build that relationship. Okay? When you're giving to God, He's going to see that you're a good steward and will bless you with more blessing. When you are in good control of your money and you're using a budget, right? And you're telling that money, all a budget is telling your money where you want it to go, right? Where to go. So it's crucial that you follow these steps. So tithe, have your budget set, review it every month, become a better steward of your money, right? As you get all these debts paid off by being a better controller of your money, a better steward of your money, then you're going to be able to do investments. You're going to have memories that are going to last generational. You're going to be able to bless with offering, right? Offering is above the tithe. So, the richest people out there are typically the biggest givers, right? The Bill Gates and Warren Buffett all have this group that they're going to give at least half their wealth away, right? I mean, who's going to give $25 billion away? It doesn't matter. Like, if you make $400 a week or $400 a month, you can still give 10%, right? You can find a way to give 10%, and it's so crucial because that teaches you to be disciplined. $1, just give 10 cents. It teaches you to be a good steward. When you come over on this side of the house, you're going to be able to leave a legacy. You're going to be able to generate generational memories. So think about that. Again, Bucky with Top Dollar Home Offer. We buy houses, Tulsa. We can help you with yours. So if you say, hey, I want to sell my house fast, happy to help. Go to topdollarhomeoffer.com. You can reach us at 918-212-5442. If you have questions about breaking debt or about the spiritual and mental side, the next video we're going to talk about is getting into the technical part of that. So first we have to get our mind and our spirit right. That will help us make good choices, right? Until we can make good choices, what's the point, right? If we can't know where our heart tells us where to go, where to put our money, where to be a good steward at, then we're not going to make sound decisions. Even when we buy houses, right? Or if you need to sell my house fast, if that's what you're saying, then if you get $10,000 in your pocket, how do you know where to place it? Are you going to go buy a boat with $10,000? Are you going to set up an emergency fund that if something ever happened to you, you're taken care of? You're going to set up a life insurance if you've got children or a spouse. So it helps you put your heart where it should be. Your heart is a direct correlation of your spending habits. So look at your spending habits. That will tell you where your heart is. And you can change it. Okay? It just takes discipline. It takes a relationship with God and also analyzing your friends. But if you do anything right, the first thing you should do, if you have a relationship with God, everything else will kind of like slowly reciprocate out. It's like throwing a pebble in. Like, you're the pebble, you jumped in full force with God, and then He sends out this big ripple, right? The ripple will change and get rid of all the bad so you're focused on the good. and the good will help you succeed. Thank you very much. Again, we buy houses Tulsa. If you need to sell your home fast, give us a call.